Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. So, just a couple of weeks ago was International Women's Day, and we had this month celebrating females. It should be, I think, every day that we celebrate females. And someone who I've been following on social media, Hanya Kizemchuk, is an interesting person and an interesting model. I want to chat with her a little bit, if we could, because a post that she made, she was described as a trailblazer who motivates others to redefine conventional wisdom, and that she's on a mission to empower women and inspire young girls to build a world where gender and age will not define how big they can dream or how far they can go. Hanya says she's committed to justice and equality. Hanya Kizemchuk, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So I also saw an article that was printed in a magazine that you posted on social media that talks about your story starting in the 1950s, and that from the age of a very young girl, you wanted to be a model. Is that correct?
That's actually really true. It was in those days, of course, we didn't have any kind of social media. What we did have was magazines. And so, I got really captured into the world of fashion from the time I was quite young. And I had to make a promise to my father, and that was to finish my education before I pursued any modeling career. So I did do that, and bought a one-way ticket and went to Milan, and with an address that I had clipped out of the magazine, and went straight there from the airport and said, "Hello, I'm here. I want to be a model." And the truth is, they were very kind to me.
Hold it. How old were you?
I would have been about 22. I just finished my degree. I had a general BA. I had 3 years at university, and I said, "I'm done. Goodbye." And that was it.
And tell me what the experience in Milan was like.
It was really great. They were, Milan is such an exciting place for a young model. I walked in there. I had long, long blonde hair. They chopped it off to a very short haircut. And within a day or two, I started to work and test, and started to create a book and a look. And from there launched a career, frankly, in a way that could not have been done in Toronto. They were so much more progressive, of course, in fashion. I mean, it's Paris or it's Milan.
Now, why couldn't it happen in Toronto?
Well, I think that Toronto is a much smaller market. They're very conservative. They still are. That's probably primarily the reason. We have some fabulous designers in this country, which I love and adore. But the fact of the matter is that we're a much smaller market. So.
And, you are a little older than the typical model.
I am.
Is there ageism in the fashion business and in the modeling business?
So it's quite interesting, because if you read the article as we started to write it together with the writer, the truth is that by 28 I was aged out. As a model. As a model, I was aged out. And so at that time, I went into real estate and development and built a life and a career for my daughter and myself. And it's interesting that through aging out, going into new career, and now just pre-COVID, yes, I decided I really wanted to get back on the runway and have some fun. And all of a sudden, I'm aged in again, which really shows you how the market has changed, delightfully so.
Yeah. And what about hair color? We had this big controversy this past year of Lisa LaFlamme, who had gray hair. And it seems like that's one of the reasons why she was turfed.
Yeah, so I think it's really ridiculous. You have such a qualified individual, and what difference does it make the hair color? I've been gray since I'm in my 40s, and so I think that these are the changing elements, and the change of what is happening in our industry in general. This is the change that is happening worldwide. And I'm happy to be part of that. We still have a great deal to do in moving forward, and I hope to be part of that. It's an open discussion. I was just part of Mode Canada Rocks, which was a celebration of diversity and inclusion, a great fashion show that happened a few days ago. And why that is so special is that it's such a diversified crowd. It's not just my age. There were so many diversified shapes and sizes and colors of skin. It really should be inclusive. And the fact that this was the first of its kind was imperative for me to show up and walk that runway, for sure, as the old lady of the crowd.
What do you think of fashion today?
So I think that fashion is always very, there's an eccentricity in fashion, the kind that you see happening on the runways of Europe and New York, for sure. And that gets modified and scaled into more moderateness. So I think that for me, I love fashion. So what I see happening now is exciting because it's always showing us what is happening. And what's happening is that fashion is going across the board, whether you're a man or a woman, whatever your color is, it is now going right throughout. And I love that. That's what I love about fashion.
Tell me about some of the exciting runways that you've been on. You talked about Milan. Where else have you walked the runway?
Yeah, so in my younger days, of course, I was working in Paris and in Milan. I worked for Karl Lagerfeld. I worked for Claude Montana. I mean, these are names that I'm 66, so these people are no longer here. But those were very exciting designers at the time. And certainly some of the fashion people that I have enjoyed walking for here would have been our own Canadian Toronto resident, Tomei, who I just adore his fashion. So, and I did Fashion Week for him. And then, of course, we had COVID and everything was restricted for 2 years. And 2 years for me is a long time. When you're 25, it's
Well,
fine. But when you're creating a sort of an excitement in the industry, 2 years off is a long time.
That's the picture I tried to show that was really quite striking of you talking about all you wanted was freedom. And you know,
Correct.
If you said 65 now?
66 now.
66 now, so this would have been when you were maybe 64.
Correct.
And you weren't showing anything, but you were nude in the picture. And so that not a lot of people at many ages would want to be in a shoot nude. And you had the confidence and the fitness that you were very, very proud to do so and talk about freedom.
Well, the reality is like this. Thank you. I believe that being physically fit, it goes hand in hand with health. Not everybody feels that way, but for me, staying in shape is really important. And I'm very dedicated to feeling and looking my best. And it's a process that gets harder as I do age. For example,
I'm sorry about that interruption. That was music from a TikTok that you had of you in a bikini. And you were saying that you had how many hits?
about 1.5 million. It went viral. That was
Really?
last year, I believe. And I was so surprised.
How did you react to 1.5 million hits of you in a bikini?
Well, you know, it comes with a grain of salt. You know, there were those who were upset about it, saying that, of course, you're too old to be in a bikini.
Yeah.
And my point was really that, of course, I was a little shy to do that. But I thought, you know, I think it's really important that women should feel good about themselves. And I'm showing that to get over it, just feel good about yourself. It doesn't mean I'm always running around in a bikini and high heels, but it does show that, number one, I look after myself. That's imperative. Mostly what is very important is that I look after my health, and that by doing those things, that I can still wear a bikini if I wanted to. And interestingly enough, it got incredible volume. So it showed me that women are ready for that. They want to see it. They want to feel supported, and that's really important.
What's Hanya's hope?
So Hanya's Hope was a charity, a nonprofit that I had initiated that was really geared towards making some impact with sex trafficking, with helping children. And what I actually found was that it was truly, it took over my life.
Oh, really?
And I had to look at that scenario and say, either I'm dropping everything and just doing Hanya's Hope, or I'm going to have to look at helping in a charity or a nonprofit without Hanya's Hope, but just being a part of something else. And at that time, I found the shelter for abused women and children in Naples, of which I became an executive board member for several years. That allowed me to work in a community of approximately 300 women who were all like-minded, we were all driven, and we were all together working in a machine that was already established. Whereas Hanya's Hope would have been something from scratch, and I didn't have the ability or the time to handle all of that. So I switched gears and went into Naples Shelter, and I'm still part of it.
It looks like you've been involved in a lot of different events and a lot of different charitable activities. Is that something that motivates you?
Yes, it's part of what I like to align my brand with giving back. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to be doing fashion, if I'm going to be doing a runway, I need to know that there is some philanthropic attitude behind that. So that is very much about who I am. So it's not just about doing a runway show. It's what is that runway show giving back to? Are we raising money for some serious issue? That's where I get involved. And that's probably the only reason I get involved. And of course, when it comes to runway, that is. But I also get involved in producing fashion shows and raising funds. So that is very exciting for me. I love that part of the industry, frankly. Yeah.
So I'm also in my 60s. What fitness recommendations, regime, healthcare, not healthcare, but healthy eating regime, what recommendations have you got for me so I can look half as good as you do?
So for me, I really love yoga. I'm really into hot yoga. I'm there 4 or 5 times a week. I'm also working out with weights 3 to 4 times a week together with the hot yoga. Together with that, I would say to you, I eat a very healthy program that is fresh food at home, lean. I stay away from carbs. What else am I doing? There's zero alcohol, zero
alcohol. Oh,
zero.
No, I gave up the wine?
I did. Yeah. And I couldn't be happier.
Really?
Yeah, I feel amazing. So when I gave up the alcohol, which is now probably about 8 or 9 months ago, it was a decision that I made because I simply wasn't feeling as well as I knew I could be. And when I turned off the alcohol, and I'm not saying that I had some sort of a drinking problem, it's just that if you're having a glass of wine more than 2 or 3 times a week or more, because you're socializing, and I'm out in Naples where I have a home as well, you're out socializing. It's very easy to have a glass of rosé here, a glass of rosé there. And I finally just said, I'm not feeling fabulous. And when I cut it out, it's like it springboarded me into the hot yoga, and then I got catapulted into supplements and how to really feel top. It's interesting what happened when I stopped that one process. And of course, cigarettes I gave up 30 years ago. So it's been a process of learning how to feel and look my best. And I'm sure, frankly, Brian, that it's going to continue until the day I'm dead. I'm going to try to do and find ways.
We're chatting tonight with Hanya Kizemchuk. We're going to take a break for some final messages and come back with some concluding comments in just 2 minutes. Stay with us, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with Hanya Kizemchuk. She's a fashion model. She's been very involved in a bunch of different charitable activities. And she's a mature fashion model in her 60s, and she's very proud of getting over 1 million and something views of TikTok video with her in a bikini during the pandemic. She had I guess it was a nude. I'm not sure if it was nude or topless photo shoot where she wasn't showing anything, but you could tell that she was nude. And she talked about freedom and how she wanted some freedom. She is an advocate for fitness, hot yoga, particularly in weights, but also healthy living. And oh God, I can't believe it. You gave up wine. I don't know if I could give up wine. So potentially inspired me today. Um, Hanya, you've been incredibly successful in your
Thank you.
career and in an area that lots of people dream about and fantasize about. Fashion model, traveling the world, going to Milan, going to Paris, going to the pages of all the different magazines that you've been in, and being involved in all the charitable work that you've been in and having a positive impact on society. What's your secret to success?
I would say to you that if you can do it, do it. So I look at life in a way that I am not held back by other people's restrictions. And that motivates me to proceed and grow and every day be stimulated by a new life. Because every day I am given a new opportunity to live a new chapter of my life. And so the secret of success is just to stay relevant and to live a life that you can be proud of. I feel, Brian, this. If I can look in the mirror and feel good about who's looking back at me, then I feel that as a human, I've done something good in this earth. And I like the person that is looking back, and I like the person who is giving back. That's important to me.
You like the person that is looking back, and you like the person that is
Giving back.
That's interesting. What would you tell a young girl if she said that she was interested in becoming a fashion model?
I would say the same thing my father said to me: go get an education, and then go do what you want. I think education is really important. I'm actually extremely an old soul. I'm a traditionalist, and I happen to believe in those values. I think that you should get a great education if you can do that, and then go out and do whatever it is you want to do in this world. Yeah, that's what I would say. Go for it, but make sure that you have something to fall back on. And that, in my opinion, is an education. That's it.
What do you have to say to someone that's in their 50s or 60s that thinks life is almost at its end?
Well, I think that that's a really great question. And it speaks to my popularity, because when the woman who's in her 50s and her 60s and feeling down in the dumps, and she sees me just grooving and doing her own thing and looking in a way that she would like to, it gives them the initiative to feel good, some positive feelings. That's exactly what, I don't have to say much. They're just watching, and then they get on board and say, wow, that is amazing. How do you do that? I want to know. Show me, tell me. The discussion is an important one for them. That's why I'm still here, for sure.
So is 66 the new 49 or 39?
Never. I would like to say that, but I don't think I could say that with a straight face. 66 is 66. I think I look great for 66, but I would never say, oh yeah, 66 is the new 46 or whatever. No, not happening here.
Well, I think you found the fountain of youth somewhere, and maybe it's your vibrancy for life and your desire to give back. But I really appreciate you sharing some time with us tonight, and sharing a little bit of your life story and your career story and your desire to do good for the society. So thank you so much. And I'm gonna have to. I'll try the hot yoga. I'm still not sure about the giving up. I'm gonna try the hot yoga and weights. Okay.
Thanks so much, Brian, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. That's our show for today, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I remind you, I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. You can stream me online, even from Naples, Florida, at www.saga960am.ca. Good night, everybody.